Hey everyone, welcome to today's webinar titled How Hoteliers Are Embracing Digital Adoption for Security and Sustainability. My name is Jason Freed and I'll be moderating the discussion today. The usual quick couple housekeeping items before we dive into it. Audio is on mute for all the attendees, but please feel free to ask questions during the presentation in the chat box. That's in your drop down on the right of your screen. I'm super excited to get questions from the audience and get some hotelier perspective on this stuff. So we'll take probably 10-15 minutes at the end to answer as many questions as we can. Also, the session is being recorded. Tomorrow we'll send an email to all the registrants with a link to the video and slides. So we have an awesome lineup of panelists today. I'm super excited to have this discussion. And I'll go around the room before we dive in and let them each tell you a little bit about themselves. I'll start. My name is Jason Freed. I'm the Hospitality Data Evangelist at MDO. I've been learning and writing about innovative hoteliers and technology leaders really looking to disrupt and improve the hospitality industry for about 15 years. Started as a journalist and wrote for several of the hospitality magazines you read today before moving over to the supplier space. So as MDO's Hospitality Data Evangelist, I share hotel owner operator success stories really through data analysis and content, trying to uncover profitability trends and build news around the numbers. Ankur, do you want to go next? Can you tell us a little bit about Insignia and your role?
Yes, of course. Hello, my name is Ankur Bhakta. I'm based out of Midland, Texas. My group is Insignia Hospitality Group. We started off with a small cluster of hotels in 2002. My brother and I grew that from a little small family operation into what we have now, 20 years later. We're at 24 hotels right now with a pretty aggressive pipeline of growth still waiting to happen. So we also own and manage all of our hotels. We're based out of, we roughly manage around 2,500 rooms, and my primary role is to keep expanding the company. So I deal with potential land sites, other areas of development and opportunity for growth within our organization, and I also help out on the management side the most I can, along with our COO as well. So that's us in a nutshell.
Awesome. Congrats on all the growth, Ankur. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jason.
Matt, what's going on at McNeil?
Yeah, hey everyone. My name is Matt McTee. I'm the Regional Director of Operations for McNeil Hotel Company. We have about 25 hotels and lots of growth in the portfolio coming. So my day-to-day role is to oversee day-to-day operations for each of the 6 hotels that I oversee, and then help support anywhere else that I can. So that's my role with McNeil.
Where are you guys based, Matt?
We are based out of Memphis, Tennessee.
And do you go into the office every day, or do you get to work from home?
So good question. I'm actually from Indiana. I'm based out of Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay, perfect. Mano, thanks for being with us. Tell us a little about your role and a little bit about MDO.
Hi, yeah. My name is Mano, and I'm the Chief Information Security Officer at MDO. And really excited to have been working for MDO for a long time. As you know, we've been growing pretty fast as well, making sure that your data that we hold in our data platform is secure. At the same time, it's also easily accessible, and you get the correct data at the correct time. So that's my company. And as far as my team, I am really happy to have a team that work 24/7, 365, constantly working to make sure that our crown jewels, which is actually your data, your hotel data, is constantly being secured. But at the same time, you have the right access to get at the data at your fingertips digitally.
Critically important. Mano. Thank you so much for doing that. We all appreciate it. So let's dive in. What are we talking about today? What is digital document management? Excuse me. I mean, it's actually pretty basic. It's leaning on cloud-based software to get rid of this, to get rid of what you're looking at on this screen. This is probably a familiar sight to the panelists on the webinar and many of you in the audience. You know, this printing the nightly audit pack and sticking it in an envelope and in a banker's box and eventually in a back room or an attic somewhere is unbelievably still a common practice throughout the hotel industry. And you know, you can easily identify the security issues and sort of the unnecessary waste that is a byproduct of this process. You know, at the top there, you'll see I went on into a popular hospitality Facebook group, and you know, I put a comment: show me your night audit. If you've moved to digital, you know, show me your storage area where you keep your records and data and documents. And if you've moved digital, show me what you've done with the space. Well, I got about 30 pictures like this of people who are still, you know, like I said, putting it in an envelope, putting it in a baker's box somewhere, and keeping it on file. And if you ever need to get to it or access that data again, you can imagine the trouble that you have to go through. So a digital document management strategy really allows hotel operators to automate their reporting, automate that process, ensure your data is secure and compliant. And really the byproduct of that is reducing your environmental footprint. You're no longer printing all that paper, you're saving a lot of trees. And we'll go in later about, you know, the amount of savings that MDO customers are seeing, the amount of trees and the byproducts and the environmental savings that we're seeing. And it's more than just turning your documents into digital files, right? It's putting them into a workflow where they can be shared with the team and you can get the necessary signatures and sign off that you need. And then ultimately, and Mano will talk about this later, the importance of having that document and that data sortable and searchable when you need to find it again. You know, say a guest calls a month later or 6 months later and has a dispute on their charge, you need to get to that, be able to get to that information quickly. So today we're going to hear best practices from hoteliers who have led digital adoption initiatives at their companies, who have really undergone the change management initiatives to centralize this portfolio-wide data and these reports in a secure and cloud environment. And really, as we all know, this is kind of stage one of what I'm calling the hospitality data lifecycle, right? So it's, you know, moving that data and those reports into the cloud to increase efficiency, to ensure security and compliance, and to reduce your environmental footprint. And then, you know, we get to stage 2 and stage 3, which is really extracting that data, right? And being able to look at that data and gain cross-portfolio intelligence, being able to identify trends, make more profitable decisions, and really start to build your strategy with that data. And we'll get to a little bit of that on this call, but what we really are focusing on is stage 1 and, you know, the benefits of adopting that digital document management strategy. So here's what we're going to talk about. These are sort of the benefits of digital document management, right? Centralization, the night audit process, automation, keeping your data secure, and obviously the byproduct, which is operating in more sustainable hotels. Let's dive into centralization first. So I talked to a lot of hoteliers, and this appears to be a common thread, a strategy that started really before COVID and then was accelerated during COVID. And it's the idea of taking the responsibility of the paperwork, the accounting, the financials away from the property level and performing those functions at headquarters or in a central location. So I want to talk to our hoteliers on the call today, and Ankur, maybe I'll start with you. Was that a priority at Insignia to sort of centralize some of that back office work, and walk me through how the processes went for you?
Yes, most definitely. Previously, it was always a challenge of, I remember when we were a much smaller organization, it was 5 to 7 hotels. It was just a challenge to identify trends between the hotels on metrics or whatever the case may be. And a lot of it was efficiency and time. And now with the digital adoption, we can see things immediately. We have professionals in our role, our industry professionals that are in their positions because they do a darn good job of things that relate to success at our hotel level. And when it used to be, you had to email or call the general manager, hey, I need this report or whatever. It was just a time factor, and it just provided a challenge of, it just wasn't efficient. Now that it's digital, they're able to just pull up anything from anywhere, from their laptop, heck, even their phone, and make decisions right away. So that was a big success for us as an organization once we went to digital, is time and efficiency, and people that needed to get their work done, they didn't have to wait on a lot of things that they used to.
Yeah, that's huge. Matt, what's the evolution been at McNeil? Was this sort of a strategy for you guys pre-COVID, and or how has the centralization evolved over the past few years?
Yeah, I mean, like Kurt was saying, it was definitely, there was definitely some challenges, pre-COVID and pre-using MDO. I mean, it's definitely been a time saver, especially for the month-end process. If there's a report that we need, we upload all our month-end documents through that. But then, obviously the daily reports as well. And, if accounting needs to be able to pull a report, or, instead of having to contact the GM or AGM, they're just able to go to MDO and pull it. And it's definitely helped a lot.
That's awesome. Let's jump into the night audit, because I want to talk about this. I want to sort of unpack what the night audit really is. We talk about these reports that we run every night and need them centralized and need to get more access to them. What exactly is it? What reports are in there, and why do we need this to save them? Manoa, maybe I'll turn to you to kick off this part of the conversation. You know a lot about this process. You know a lot about the documents and the reports that we are saving in my docs. Talk a little bit about why we are keeping those on file.
Yeah, so as you showed earlier, Jason, you showed all the piles and piles of documents that the hotels had to store initially at their hotel, and then probably offsite storage. Each hotel has to go through what we call as a night audit, where certain reports have to be printed in the old way, like stapled together, checked, verified, and then some of them had to get signed off as well. For example, variance report would be a good example, right? So what like with the centralization and the digitization, what happens is, without having to do that, somebody can send the documents to a digital system, like with MDO, where we can store the documents to meet the, your slides talks about tax laws and state laws for various retention periods. Like it could be 7 years, 9 years, 10 years, whatever it is. And basically, when you send, so the hotel has the option of being able to send it through email, using our portal, our secure portal, dropping the files to us, or automating it through secure file transfer protocols such as SFTP. Hopefully, I'm not going too technical here. And we will get those reports digitally, and that transmission is called like in transit, coming from your hotel to us, and it happens through a secure channel, and it's just temporarily only. Once we get the report, we quickly store it on permanent storage, which is also secure. Both in transit and permanent storage is encrypted, so nobody can get into that data.
Yeah.
And once it comes in, we will also do, the good stuff you talked about. Basically, we would, if it needs to, we will script the document. We will index it as you mentioned, so that we can easily find it in later. We will index it like report name, where it came from, what date it belongs to, etc.
Yeah,
And we would.
I'll follow up with you, Mono, on some of the security and compliance things in a few minutes here. I want to get, so thanks, that's super helpful on what the night audit actually is and what it entails. I want to get from Ankur and Matt, in real life, guys, what does this process look like? Do you have somebody sitting in the back office at every property doing this every night, or is it, the front desk agents doing these things? How long does it take? Fill us in on some of those details, if you don't mind.
Sure. I can start, Ankur, if you want.
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah. So at a lot of our hotels, we have two folders in the back office. We have one folder that says, needing upload. So that means like every person throughout the day will put the reports that's needed. The front desk will put their shift checklists and the reports throughout the day, and then housekeeping will put the housekeeping reports for the day. They'll bring those at the end of the day to that folder, and then our night auditor uploads it at the end of the night, scans it in with the barcodes. The barcodes, the cover sheet, scans it, and it check marks the report in MDO. And I mean, in total, it takes maybe 15 to 20 minutes and it's done. It's a really quick and easy process, and it's very, very efficient. And then we also, the second folder is the completed upload. So everything that was completed for that day is there, so that GM and AGM can come and look at, that folder for the next day, and then also just verify it with in the MDO portal. It's very, very efficient.
What's the process look like for you, Ankur? Anything to add to that?
Not much. Matt hit it on the tee. That's pretty much exactly how we're doing ours at all of our locations. Unfortunately, night audit process is something that we still have to. There needs to be someone at the hotel during those hours, and it honestly only takes a click of a button, and the computer kind of runs itself, and then it's done within 5 minutes. And then there's a few things that are still needing to be done by the night auditor on balancing, or if there's a discrepancy, they do have to let some note on the GM's door or something saying, hey, this didn't match or this didn't balance, and then the general manager will look into it further at that point. But yeah, pretty much what Matt just alluded to.
Yep. And Ankur, we talk a lot about how that helps automate processes, right? Makes it easier. Like you said, it takes 10 minutes. What did it used to look like before you adopted the digital document management? Can either of you talk about sort of the evolution of, is it really requiring less man hours now?
Yeah, most definitely. We've become more efficient at it. On a grand scale of 30,000 perspective view is now it's just time and efficiency. People that need to get data towards them, now they're able to get it more efficiently. Used to it was, well, let me call the general manager. General manager worked audit last night, so they're not there in the morning or whatever the case may be. Well, then that slows down time on the regional making a decision, or at that time me or whoever, my brother or whomever it was, to make decisions in order to grow the portfolio or get more efficient on metrics for our hotel and our organization and our investors. So time and efficiency, really, it was our key.
Yeah. I think that will resonate with a lot of the people on the call. And Matt, maybe you can unpack that a little bit, right? Like, that's the number one challenge I think we're all facing, right? Is labor costs and how to sort of control those and, wrap our heads around those and start making decisions that can drive those bottom line margins. Is this, sort of this digital adoption in general, and specifically digital document management, sort of helping with that? Do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think also having, being able to have the night auditor being able to upload that saves a lot of time throughout the day, right, with the different reports. And like Encore said, anybody can pull those reports, whether it be, county team, regional, whoever needs it. So it's efficient on both sides, the property level and the corporate level.
Yeah, I would agree. This one, data security, I'm curious to get your perspective on, Matt and Ankur. What kind of priority is this for you and for your organizations? Obviously, we know it's critical to keep our guests' information and guest data safe and transaction data safe as well. What are you guys doing to ensure that's happening? And is it really, are you almost relying on your solutions providers and your partners to help make sure that happens? And if that's the case, what kind of questions are you asking them to make sure that your data is secure? Let me start with you on Matt, on that one, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think for data security, we definitely make sure all the documents are secure. We keep them secure in a protected office. If there's certain data that doesn't need to be protected, we keep it in a binder or a folder in a safe space, and it's only used during the day for obviously people's eyes that need it. But I definitely think that's how we are doing the best from a data security standpoint, and using the vendors that we have as needed.
What's Insignia's perspective on that, Ankur?
Yeah, so basically the same thing. All of the brands that we have, they do a good job of training our folks on making sure data is secure and that we have a good process on data security. And we all know XYZ brand got hacked, and all these brands get hacked or whatever the case may be. And so honestly, on a day-to-day basis, it's not something that I honestly worry about. We have tech partners. I'm not an IT guy whatsoever. And we really let our IT partners handle that portion of it.
Yep.
And yeah, it's not something that I personally worry about every day. But I mean, we hope that our training.
That's why you partner with the right providers, right? So Mono, let me turn that. I think you're queued up well. Let me turn that conversation over to you, and talk about one, what we are doing to keep customer data secure. I know you guys are running constant tests on it, but then two, if you don't mind, Mono, talk a little bit about we hear a lot of hoteliers say, I am doing digital document management. I put it in Google Drive, or I put it on a USB, or I put it on SharePoint or some type of shared drive. Isn't that good enough, right? And talk about why that can really, open your data up for security issues.
Sure. So yeah, on the first point on what we're doing to ensure that, as I mentioned, like your data is our crown jewels. So we have to make sure that they're protected. So there's various tools. One thing is our platform that we use is state of the art. We use AWS, which basically gives us a lot of options. So it is quite modern, and we use as much as possible, like things like like blanket firewalls. We have all sort of security tools to ensure that there's nothing getting through, or nobody's getting through. Again, Jason, you mentioned about like constant security testing. Yes, we run all sort of security tests all year round and make sure that any findings are fixed. And of course, like keeping the data encrypted, which is quite important as well. And also shared with only people who have actual, they're authenticated, and only shared with those users. I can certainly go into a lot of details on the tools, etc. But I think it's basically making sure that there's incident management system, watching all the systems that can go wrong or that has gone wrong somewhere. It's captured and rectified, and we have a lot of training as well, like that happens, like even the internal staff gets trained constantly.
Yeah.
And then making sure that we do like disaster recovery backups and business continuity testing and do that.
Yeah, the interesting part when you and I were talking earlier about this, Mano, the two things that stood out to me is one, that the access, like you were talking about, you can set, if this GM needs access to this report and this GM needs access to this report and this VP needs access to these reports, you can set their user profile so that they only have that access. And then the fact that, the other thing that stood out to me, Mano, is the fact that you have an entire team like really trying to, like Ankur said, really trying to hack the system, trying to get in and, see what constantly, right? And seeing, identifying any holes in that firewall and then strengthening it.
Yep. So it's true. Like, I mean, that is a challenge. So if you go to the second question, and I'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Because basically, because I mean, what's the other option is to like keep things in a box, right? Or the second option is like kind of, you can digitize it. You can put it in your computer, local computer, put it in a USB drive, and the drawback is like, then you're relying on physical security. Somebody can take that USB drive somewhere else, forget about it, and lose it too, right? So that's why most of these new laws came up with, is because with certain things that happened in the past, where physical documents can get caught in fires. Nowadays, all the things happening in the weather, and unfortunate things. So the rule is like kind of keeping sure like you have one copy of your data, and then you have a very secured backup in a separate place. Because keep it in a USB drive is not the way to go.
Yeah.
Right. Because and then keeping things in, like, I mean, you can scan it and Google Drive it or Dropbox it, but then what happens if somebody is using their personal email, like, and they're no longer working for you, but then how do you make sure that personal email is removed from the Google Drive? Because he or she could be like gone from your hotel for a long time, but they have access to that drive. And one thing that we never talk about is like, how many times have you guys put in a document in a Google Drive and then you find multiple copies in it?
Yeah.
Like finding out like what is the correct version. That has happened to me. Certainly, I think it happened to many of us, right? So what we want is actually a version control. Like when you search something, you get the latest version, and there's only one source of truth. That gets verified, that gets signed off, as we discussed.
Yep.
So the way to go is digital document management. Now, unfortunately, that also opens up certain like threats, because now your data is in a cloud. So that's what we do, is like we make sure that data is in a virtual private cloud. It's like there's multiple firewalls. The entire cloud is protected by one big firewall, which basically by default stops everything by default and lets only certain connections, like for example, Ankur's team, when they come through the portal, they can get in. And as you mentioned, yes, they will get role mapped, so only they will have access based on their role. And that there is only one copy, and then things are backed up to ensure that we keep things backed up according to our data rotation policies. So
yep.
the way to go is digital document management for sure. Yes, sir.
Yep, appreciate it. Appreciate those security efforts you're making for all of us, Mano. Let's move on to talk. Well, I think the last thing I want to talk about before we open it up to Q&A is really the sustainability benefits that come with a digital document management system, which we also refer to as paperless night audit, right? So that's what you're doing. You're taking your night audit and you're moving it into a paperless process. And what does this do? I mean, the results are significant and meaningful. They really are. You can see here, MDO customers, this is what we average per year. MDO customers are saving 15,725 trees per year. I mean, think about it. That night audit can be anywhere from 200 to 1,000 pages at a full service hotel. And really, you know, you talk about the trees that you're saving, and it's all the byproducts that come with the paper making process as well that we're also reducing. The oil that it takes to go into transporting these documents back and forth, the water used in the process, and then obviously what we're saving in terms of landfill. And the numbers really are meaningful. So we launched, I'm going to share a different tab here. But we launched a couple months ago something called a sustainability calculator, where you can go in on MDO website, you can plug in, you know, what you're paying for paper today, what you're paying for ink today, and we have a couple companies that have went digital. We have about a dozen companies so far that have been certified, and they're showing, you know, that by adopting a digital document management process, these are the results that they're seeing. And this is McNeil's. So Matt, congratulations on getting this done and getting certified. McNeil's saving a significant amount of trees. And you can go on our website and see any of these. On Kerr, this is Insignia's. Insignia's is certified, so you can see across their portfolio what they're saving on an annual basis. On Kerr, Matt, just to kind of wrap up here on the sustainability benefits, is it one of the reasons that led you to go to a paperless night audit process? How important is that for both of your organizations? Maybe I'll start with you, Ankur.
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge big push, whether it's coming from the brands or even investment groups of, hey, what are we doing as a company or organization to help the environment? What are we helping out in CO2, et cetera, et cetera. Just being green in the new, you know, just everything in the media just going green. What can we do to help? And this is, I mean, the little that we're doing is, I mean, and when you look at it, I mean, just going from paperless to digital, I mean, it makes a big difference. I mean, and we're a small group, so if we're just a little pebble in the pond, then if a lot more organizations start getting into it, you can see how much it could possibly help the environment significantly. And then it might be just a process that all our industry might just jump upon at that point.
Matt, you know, I don't know if you guys are, but, you know, I've talked to hoteliers who are even seeing, you know, on RFPs for meetings and group business, you know, they want to know what kind of sustainability initiatives your company has too. Has this sort of helped you guys in that process?
It has. You know, I was actually going to bring that up because to your point, yeah, we have seen some of those RFPs come through and they do want to know if, you know, if the hotel is green and, you know, like Encore said, it's been very, you know, very important, you know, to being green and helping the environment any way we can. And not just that, but, you know, speaking to that, you know, saving the paper, it's been a lot of cost savings as well on the back end.
Yeah, good point on that. Okay, cool. We've got 9 minutes left. I saved the perfect amount of time. I'm gonna open it up to Q&A. If anybody on the call has any questions for our esteemed panelists, I'll moderate those questions and I will pass them along. So I'm gonna try to find now. Oh, I guess this one's for you, Mano. One of our audience members wants to know, what happens to my documents if your system gets hacked? I mean, I would hope to say that our system is not going to get hacked.
Yeah,
But-
I mean, yes. So if the system gets hacked, so far it has not happened, which doesn't mean that it cannot happen. But we are of course have all the required checks and balances in to make sure it does not get hacked. But if it gets hacked, as I mentioned, like the data that we store is encrypted. So if somebody has to be quite into the system to be able to decrypt it and take it out. Now, one of the things that we actually use is also is called as zero trust architecture. So it's basically zero trust means never trust, always verify. So it doesn't matter whether you're from outside or inside. So nobody within our system is trusted. So basically that means is like even if you coming in, because there's only one copy of your data, and that is in a very secure place, that the content is only accessible by a kind of a link only. It's not actually physically available. Somebody cannot actually get at your data. It's extremely difficult. And there's only second copy, which is actually a backup, which is like only 1 or 2 people have access, and that's at a really high level. It's only kept, again, it's separately encrypted as well. So the answer to is that the zero trust architecture. By the way, I was reading a IBM 2022 report. Only 79% of critical infrastructure organizations don't use zero trust architecture still. So only 21%. So we are within that 21%. So that's a good win for us and for
Thank
your
you.
data as well.
Couple other good questions rolling in. This one's for Matt and or Encore. Which departments and team members are you sharing this data with? I'm curious, guys. How do you when we're talking specifically about the night audit and some of these reports, which team members need to see these reports? Do any of them need to sign off on them? Who across the company needs to see this?
Yeah, I can go Encore if you want me to on this one.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So so the auditor, pushes it through the audit process, and then the next day the GM and AGM or ops manager, depending on how the hotel is structured, will sign off on it, and then the accounting, regionals, and above property team members can see any report in MDO, and then there's also like a compliance dashboard that I send to my team weekly as well, and it tells them where they're at from a signature standpoint and where they're at from a compliance upload standpoint, to make sure that we're staying compliant, make sure each day does have each day uploaded.
And then you do, I guess, what's called a month end.
Correct. Yeah. So for the month end, we also upload all our month end documents through that as well. So it makes it very easy for accounting just to be able to pull it when our month end close is. It's been very nice.
Got one more from the audience here. Oh, somebody picked up, Matt, on your, I believe it was you that said, that mentioned cost savings. Someone wants to know if you can dive into that. Have you seen the cost savings at the hotel level?
Yeah,
I guess, Matt, or either of you, if you want to weigh in on that part of it.
I can speak to it. I mean, I know for sure our office supplies have gone way down in terms of paper usage at the hotel. Of course, it depends on the size of the hotel and how much they're going through. But some of our hotels are saving a couple $100 each month. I mean, it's been tremendous savings.
Ankur, how about on your side? I'm sure you don't have the data at your fingertips, but have you seen costs go down as a result of digital adoption?
Yes, most definitely. And you spread it across the whole portfolio of 20 plus hotels. yeah, just the cost of paper savings alone, and now we're not even considering the time and effort of your general manager or whoever taking the time out of their day to go pick up the reams of paper from Sam's or Costco instead of doing sales calls or something more efficient to really help the hotel out. So those are hidden costs that we're not really adding to the bottom line there. That is probably a lot more significant.
Yep. Okay, cool. Those are all of the questions that we have from the audience. So at this time, we can wrap a couple minutes early. I want to thank you guys. I want to thank my panelists again. I think that was an outstanding conversation. I hope our audience was able to pull some takeaways from it that they can implement in their operations to make better business decisions. Matt, Ankur, Mano, really, really, really appreciate your time, and we'll speak again soon.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.